Super Mario Sunshine is finally on Switch 2, even though it kind of already was if you own the 3D All-Stars collection. So has that version been replaced, or is it secretly still better? That's exactly what we're going to go over right now, as it covers the graphics, gameplay, controls, and more. And let's start off with one of the biggest drawbacks if you're playing it on Switch 2 instead of 3D All-Stars. And that's the fact that, just like the GameCube original, it is not in widescreen. Whereas in 3D All-Stars, it is, meaning not only will the game completely fill your screen, you won't be stuck looking at those ugly NSO borders. And I'm not gonna mince words, that kinda sucks going back to. Especially when you can see exactly how much you're losing, like all the water on either side here. But on the upside for Switch 2, you can at least enjoy the pre-rendered cutscenes as originally intended in the correct aspect ratio. Whereas in 3D All-Stars, they simply zoomed in to make it widescreen, meaning you're losing information at the top and bottom of the frame. As you can see here with how the top and bottom edges of the TV were cut off. On the other hand, the overall picture quality for the pre-rendered cutscenes in 3D All-Stars generally looks a lot cleaner than it does on Switch 2, which, like on the GameCube, suffers from some pretty harsh compression, giving it a grainy look. But that is at least again faithful to the GameCube version, because in 3D All-Stars, thanks to the AI upscaling they used, it introduces some weird artifacts. Like how if we freeze it right here, Peach's eyes appear to be both open and closed at the same time. It's kinda creepy, like Schrodinger's blink or something. And you can find weird artifacts like that all over the 3D All-Stars versions of the cutscenes. Also, for what it matters, there are on-screen subtitles baked into the 3D All-Stars version, but not on Switch 2, just like the GameCube original. Now, as for the picture quality during actual gameplay, it's pretty similar. However, even putting aside the widescreen issue, 3D All-Stars should still be running at a higher resolution, being a full 1080p, as opposed to 1280 by 900 according to Digital Foundry's assessment of how GameCube NSO works. Either way, it's a big upgrade from the original GameCube version's 480p. Now to that point though, on Switch 2, all the on-screen HUD elements like Mario's life indicator or Flood's water level are at the exact same resolution as on GameCube, whereas in 3D All-Stars they look a lot sharper. I also noticed that some of the more special effects look just a little different between the two versions. Like how this water reflection looks a little pixelated on Switch 2, but a bit clearer in 3D All-Stars. Whereas that neat hot shimmering effect that happens in the distance appears to be quicker on Switch 2, and a bit slower in 3D All-Stars. I'm not entirely sure which one's more faithful, and they both look great, but the Switch 2 version might look just a bit hotter. Finally, let's talk controls, and luckily in this case, both versions seem to handle the exact same way, including supporting the GameCube NSO controller. So we'll be using the Switch 2 version just to demonstrate, though it also works in 3D All-Stars, including full support of the analog trigger with the R button in Mario Sunshine, with how you can press it a little bit just to shoot a little bit of water, or you can keep pressing it down, more water will come out, including if you click it all the way down where it actually clicks, that's when you enter the free aim mode, which as you can see here, you can now freely aim while standing in place. Otherwise, everything maps exactly as is. But what happens if you're using, say, a Pro Controller or Joy-Con set without the analog triggers? Well, let's find out. So if you're using, say, a Pro Controller, if you hold R, that's how you're going to shoot water, and you get no analog control this time. It's just going to fire at full power until it actually, eventually sputters out. If you want to go into free aiming mode, you're going to hold ZR instead. That's what locks you into place, and that's what then allows you to free aim like this, or it would if I had water left. I ran out of water in all my demonstrations. Although real quick, I did just notice that the controls are actually swapped in 3D All-Stars for the triggers at least, where if you press R, that's how you free aim, and ZR is the one that lets you actually run and shoot water at the same time. So, minor difference, I kind of prefer how this one feels, but it doesn't really matter either way. Plus you can remap them in Switch 2 regardless. But yeah, otherwise, that works. You don't really need the analog control in this game, so it works totally fine, no matter how you play, though I would recommend the game controller overall. I just prefer how this feels, and I like having the, analog control, though it doesn't really matter. So with all that out of the way, there's really only one feature left that truly separates these two versions of Mario Sunshine, being the fact that only Switch 2 gives you access to save states, which can be pretty handy with how janky this game can be at points or how difficult it can be otherwise. So there you have it. Those are the main differences between Mario Sunshine on Switch 2 versus the All-Stars version, and I have to say, either way is a fine way of playing this game. My personal preference myself will be the 3D All-Stars collection, both for the widescreen and the upgraded HUD elements primarily, though I do like the fact that you get the classic cutscenes here rather than some of the weird distortions you get in the 3D All-Stars version. But again, both ways of playing is totally fine, but I would be going with the 3D All-Stars version myself. So with that out of the way, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments below what you think of all this, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.